Welcome to Ping 24 Updates, your daily dose of what's happening around the world. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. The South China Sea is on edge, its waters simmering with tension and uncertainty. This vast expanse, dotted with islands and reefs, has become one of the world's most dangerous flashpoints. And the world is watching closely, as every development here could have ripple effects far beyond Asia. Newsrooms buzz with updates and leaders from every continent monitor the situation, aware that the stakes are global. Chinese Coast Guard ships ram Philippine vessels, escalating confrontations at sea. Meanwhile, American destroyers patrol nearby, signaling that the United States is ready to defend its interests and those of its allies. The Philippines finds itself the central piece in a high-stakes contest between the US and China, a strategic crossroads where superpower ambitions collide. This is not just about islands or maritime boundaries, it's a clash of visions for the 21st century, where control over territory means control over trade, resources, and influence. The US wants to uphold international law and freedom of navigation, insisting that these waters remain open to all and governed by established rules. China, on the other hand, wants to rewrite the rules in its favor, building artificial islands and expanding its military presence to assert its claims. The Philippines is caught in the middle, its fishermen and citizens living with uncertainty, its leaders forced to navigate a dangerous diplomatic tightrope. The nation's future and the stability of the entire region hangs in the balance. The outcome here could define the global balance of power for generations, shaping alliances, economies, and the rules that govern the seas. Will international law prevail, or will might make right? The world's legal institutions are being tested as never before, and the answer will set a precedent for future conflicts. Every maneuver, every diplomatic deal, every military exercise is a move in this high-stakes game, a game where miscalculation could have dire consequences. The South China Sea is a vital artery for global trade. Trillions of dollars in goods pass through these waters each year, connecting factories, markets, and consumers around the world. Any conflict here would send shockwaves worldwide, disrupting supply chains, rattling markets, and threatening economic stability everywhere. The battle for influence over the Philippines is a global concern, not just a regional one. Decisions made here will reverberate from Washington to Beijing, from Tokyo to Brussels. What happens here could reshape our interconnected future, determining not just who controls the sea, but who sets the rules for the world to come. Look at a map. The Philippines is the gateway between the Pacific and the South China Sea. For the US, it's a linchpin in the first island chain, crucial for containing China's navy. Lose the Philippines and the US defensive line in Asia unravels. For China, the Philippines blocks its path to becoming a true maritime power. Control here means dominance over sea lanes, resources, and regional influence. The South China Sea holds untapped oil, gas, and vital fisheries, resources China craves. The Philippines is the cork in the bottle of China's ambitions. Its location offers ports, airfields, and surveillance outposts, strategic gold. Whoever holds sway in Manila gains a decisive edge in Southeast Asia. This is about power, access, and leverage in the defining rivalry of our time. The Philippines is the prize at the heart of the contest. The US-Philippines relationship is shaped by a century of history. From American colonization to World War II, their fates have been intertwined. Shared sacrifice in World War II forged a powerful bond, cemented by the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. US bases once anchored American power in Asia, but Filipino nationalism led to their closure in the 1990s. The rise of China has pulled Manila back toward Washington. Recent years have seen the alliance tested, but security interests keep it strong. President Marcos Jr. has reaffirmed the US partnership, expanding military cooperation. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement now gives US forces access to more bases. The alliance has come full circle, facing a new threat together. History, security, and shared interests bind the two nations. The Spratly Islands are now the front line of this rivalry. At Second Thomas Shoal, Filipino Marines hold out on a grounded ship, defying China's claims. China's Coast Guard and maritime militia harass Philippine resupply missions with water cannons and lasers. These are tactics of intimidation, not open war. President Marcos Jr. has responded with assertive transparency, inviting the world to witness China's actions. Every confrontation risks a miscalculation that could spiral into conflict. The US warns that an attack on Philippine forces would trigger its defense commitments. A clash over a rusting ship could ignite a US-China confrontation. The stakes are dangerously real. China's cabbage strategy surrounds contested areas with layers of ships, Navy, Coast Guard, and militia, squeezing rivals out. This gray zone warfare avoids open conflict but changes facts on the water. Alongside military pressure, China wields economic power, offering investments or threatening trade restrictions. The message: cooperate and prosper, or resist and suffer. This divides Philippine society, pitting economic interests against national security. Leaders must balance sovereignty with economic survival. China's patient, multi-layered approach aims to win without firing a shot. The Philippines faces constant pressure, at sea and in its economy. It's a long game, and China is playing for keeps. The United States has responded to rising tensions in the region with a clear and unmistakable message. Its alliance with the Philippines is ironclad. This phrase isn't just diplomatic language, it's a public declaration of unwavering support, signaling to both allies and adversaries that the U.S. stands firmly with the Philippines in the face of any threat. Top U.S. officials have repeatedly warned that any armed attack on Philippine forces, vessels, or aircraft in the South China Sea will trigger a U.S. response under the Mutual Defense Treaty. This warning is not just rhetoric, it's a commitment backed by policy and military planning, designed to deter aggression and reassure the Philippines of American resolve. This deterrence is reinforced by visible action. The U.S. has increased the presence of its warships in the region, conducting regular freedom of navigation patrols to challenge excessive maritime claims. Joint military exercises with the Philippine Armed Forces have grown in scale and complexity, including live-fire drills and coordinated maneuvers, demonstrating the ability to operate together in real-world scenarios. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDICA, now covers more bases than ever before. These include strategically located sites near Taiwan and the South China Sea, allowing for faster deployment and greater flexibility in responding to regional crises. Construction and upgrades at these bases are ongoing, further strengthening the alliance's operational capabilities. The U.S. is also pre-positioning advanced military equipment and building rapid response capabilities on Philippine soil. This means that, in the event of a crisis, American and Filipino forces can quickly mobilize, deploy, and sustain operations where they're needed most. Washington is actively helping to modernize the Philippine military and Coast Guard, providing new equipment, training, and technology. This support enhances the Philippines' ability to defend its territory and protect its maritime interests. Beyond the military sphere, American investment and trade are being promoted as alternatives to Chinese economic dominance. U.S.-backed infrastructure projects and business partnerships are creating new opportunities for growth and development in the Philippines. The U.S. strategy is clear: strengthen the Philippines, demonstrate a visible and credible commitment, and build a coalition of like-minded nations to uphold a free and open Indo-Pacific. Regional defense summits and multinational exercises reinforce this message, showing unity and shared purpose. It's a comprehensive push, military, economic, and diplomatic efforts all working together to reinforce the alliance and deter potential adversaries. The ultimate goal is to deter China's assertiveness, reassure allies, and maintain stability in one of the world's most strategically important regions. The stakes could not be higher. The future of the Indo-Pacific, and the balance of power in Asia, may well depend on the strength of this ironclad commitment. For the Philippines, this is a daily struggle, not a distant chess game. China is a vital trading partner but also a threat to sovereignty. Philippine leaders must keep dialogue open with Beijing even as they resist at sea. The U.S. alliance is the only credible deterrent against Chinese military power. Ordinary Filipinos feel the impact. Fishermen chased from their waters, livelihoods at risk. Military spending diverts resources from pressing domestic needs. The constant threat of conflict creates uncertainty, hurting investment and tourism. Environmental damage from China's island building devastates marine ecosystems and fish stocks. Pollution and reef destruction threaten the region's future. For the Philippines, the stakes are economic, political, and ecological. The nation is caught in a struggle with consequences for generations. The South China Sea dispute has drawn in nations far beyond the Philippines, China, and the U.S. What began as a regional contest over islands and maritime boundaries has now become a flashpoint with global implications, pulling in countries from every corner of the world. Southeast Asian neighbors like Vietnam and Malaysia watch closely, emboldened by Manila's stance. These countries, with their own claims and concerns, see the Philippines' resistance as a signal that smaller nations can stand up to larger powers, and they are increasingly vocal in international forums. ASEAN countries quietly unite against Beijing's expansive claims. While public statements may be measured behind closed doors, there is growing consensus that regional cooperation is essential to counterbalance China's influence and protect shared interests in the South China Sea. Japan, Australia, and European powers increase security cooperation and naval patrols. Their presence sends a clear message. The world's major democracies are committed to keeping these vital sea lanes open and ensuring that international law is respected. A global coalition is forming to uphold international law and freedom of navigation. This coalition is not just military. It includes diplomatic efforts, economic partnerships, and legal support, all aimed at deterring unilateral actions and maintaining stability in the region. The 2016 Hague Tribunal ruling invalidated China's 9-dash line, giving legal and moral support to the Philippines. This landmark decision reinforced the idea that disputes should be settled by law, not by force, and set a precedent for other nations facing similar challenges. China wants bilateral talks. The US and allies frame this as a global issue. For Beijing, keeping negotiations one-on-one means more leverage. But for Washington and its partners, the dispute is about upholding a rules-based international order that affects everyone. The goal: enough diplomatic and military pressure to change Beijing's calculus. Through joint exercises, freedom of navigation operations, and coordinated statements, the coalition aims to deter aggression and encourage peaceful resolution. The Philippines is on the front line, but the world is invested in the outcome. Every move in these contested waters is watched by governments, analysts, and ordinary people, aware that the consequences could ripple far beyond Asia. The dispute is about more than territory. It's about the rules that govern the seas. At stake are the principles of freedom of navigation, respect for international law, and the ability of nations big or small to defend their rights without fear of coercion. The stakes are global, and the world is watching. As tensions rise and alliances strengthen, the outcome of the South China Sea dispute will shape the future of international relations and the balance of power for years to come. The Philippines' choices will shape the future of the region and the world. Public opinion is firmly against China, backing a strong defense of sovereignty. This gives Manila a mandate to resist pressure and strengthen U.S. ties. National pride and grassroots activism keep maritime rights at the top of the agenda. The future could bring a tense stalemate, a dangerous escalation, or a long struggle of attrition. The world must keep watching. The Philippines is the front line in a defining contest. Here, sovereignty, law, and freedom of navigation are tested daily. The decisions made in Manila, Washington, and Beijing will shape the Indo-Pacific's future. The Philippines' fate is a bellwether for the global order. Its struggle is the world's struggle.